What's up, friends? This is Manni, and let's find out once and for all what's better, Magnetar or Taimer. And we're comparing both the pre-nerf and the post-nerf version of the Taimer. What you're seeing here to the right is the before the 9.7 update nerf Taimer in its full glory, right? Full damage output, 2 clips, and my 500,000 HP Fenrir is destroyed, and it only had its 492,000 HP because these weapons prevent healing. To the left you see the Magnetar running, and it needs longer, but it also has to deal more damage because it does not prevent healing, and so it had to do 763,000 damage, 29,300 DPS versus 43,900 DPS. So you see the stats here, or the setup that we're using. It is not by any means a maximum damage setup because we're not using the pilot skills Daredevil for another 20%, we're not using the max damage drones and so on. It's a very high survivability Dagon build with high shield regeneration so that I'm basically impossible to die. But at the same time, it brings a lot of damage to the table, obviously, with 6 weapons and 1 nuke amp. Okay? Now, I will also compare with you in the same split screen that you just saw in the beginning, the post-nerf version. So, the version of the after 9.7 update where it lost 30% damage. And we're gonna have a look at that as well, compared to the same Magnetar you're seeing here. That split screen comes at the end of this video, okay? I first want to show you some gameplay with each, where I take apart the enemy teams completely running both setups. First, the Sheriff Magnetar against the enemy team, and then the Frozen Tamer that is not nerfed yet, that wasn't nerfed, against the enemy team in the second match. And then we're having a look at the same split screen as before, the comparison, but with the post-nerf Tamer after it lost 30% damage output. Okay, and I should probably say that the 9.8 update is already announced by Pixonic with yet another rebalance that will also change the range of the Tamer. So far, at this very moment, and in this video that you're seeing right here, the Tamer still has 600 meters range, and that has the same as the... Wow, I've got 2 Indra lassos on me, really. Holy smokes. Yeah, and both weapons had 600 meters range. Now, that is going to change with the 9.8 update, supposedly, where Tamer will lose another 100 meters range. 500 is still a lot of range. In most situations, you're going to be able to reach your enemy, but there will be some situations where, for example, a Magnetar could outrange you. And let's not forget, the Magnetar locks the enemy down. In my personal opinion, I think this may actually be an even bigger advantage than preventing healing, because these weapons kill so fast that the prevention of healing isn't even that important anymore, I feel like. And I think that the ability to lock the enemy down, to unload that entire clip into him without him being able to move around the corner, that actually makes a lot of difference. Also, it's a defensive move. You're getting followed by an Orokochi in his ability. You just shoot him for a second, he gets locked, and then he's like pulsating with his ability, but he can no longer move towards you. So you can dodge his ability, or any other abilities for that matter, that you don't want to fight at that moment, right? So, for me, that lockdown on the Magnetar is actually the more powerful ability, and the repair prevention effectiveness of Rust is also being addressed, I think, with the 9.8 update. So even that part is losing some of its efficiency. And in that case, I must say I agree with it, because I never thought that Rust should prevent healing so drastically how it did before, and gather up so high and so quick in its effect. Like, you shoot the enemy with those Tamers for a split second, and there's 30 stacks on them and 0 healing coming in for like 1 second firing at them. It builds up too fast and too effective, and prevents healing. By the way, preventing healing is a bad idea altogether. I told you that many a times, because there are robots that need that healing to even function, like a Fenrir or a Falcon. There are support robots that need to be able to heal the friendly robots to fulfill their real role as a support robot. So preventing healing is an awful idea. But that's just on a side note. Now, we're seeing here some enemies on Yamantau now. Brain, come on, keep up with me. The Yamantau is a great sniper map. 600 meters range is more than you need for most situations. And the damage output coming from these pre-nerf tamers is so high that this Curie robot really has our hands on his fight. Normally, you know these things, you can almost not kill the Curie robot before they bring in the next 500,000 HP for free. But with these frozen tamers, man, bye-bye Curie. There's no argument. There's no talking about it. There's no discussion. That thing just dies. Pop. One clip kills him completely if his ability's over. Because the damage output on these tamers is so ridiculous. Things that just die instantly at maximum range. And this is also what's wrong about these weapons. That was wrong from the beginning. That is now being addressed somewhat with the 9.8 update. Again, nerfing things that were previously sold is a terrible idea. That is something that needs to be addressed separately. And that's something that Pixonic keeps doing wrong for years and years. That ultimately isn't really a good decision, because it makes people unhappy, obviously, and very rightfully so. But that thing is getting nerfed, and it loses 30% damage output. So you kill things 30% faster. Now, 30% faster of an instant kill is still an instant kill, right? Just food for thought. If I kill something in 1 second, and now I need 1.3 seconds, that's still an instant kill. It changes nothing. It just shows how broken these weapons are, that you can... that was close, man. That you can remove 30% damage output from the weapon and it still does the same thing. That just shows you how ridiculous the balance was broken before. Unbelievable, but yeah, 30%. And you'll see in a moment after this match exactly what these 30% look like. I think I just killed with one clip 2 enemies, one of them being a Curie, right? Anyways, so let's demolish the enemy team some more with this Dagon robot. That guy here is a pretty tough meta player with a lot of Curies, a lot of Ohokochi and stuff. But dude, I dropped him down to 3% health with one clip of the tamer, because he didn't activate his ability just yet, right? He thought maybe he could walk a few meters, cross some distance, and then activate the ability, but nope. I looked at him, I fired, and pop, he loses all his entire Ohokochi ability, HP. I don't know, guys, I just have to tell you this. Robots or weapons that do what these weapons do. I think that was his third Curie. I think that was his third Curie robot now. And now he's bringing, of course, what Titan could he bring? Of course, he's bringing the Newton Titan. With what weapon setup? Obviously, Fulgur Tonans. What else could there be? This is just, one thing that really goes wrong with war robots is that meta is only one thing and only that one thing. Or, in terms of robots, maybe 2 or 3 that you can use. Ophion, Curie, Ohokochi, right? And that is what war robots has become. There's like 100 robots and weapons choices and sandbox and experimentation, but really, you want to be powerful, well, Pixonic is going to tell you what you need, and that's going to be like 3 or 4 things tops. And in terms of Titans, it's like 1. Wow. Here, I would kill that guy now, but unfortunately, as I begin to attack, there's suddenly 3 Titans coming in at the same time. That is just ridiculous. We have that brawling Rook who suddenly spawns there, and that Aether Titan was there, and the Newton. I mean, I can do a lot with this robot, but 3 full Titans is just a little bit too much at that point. Otherwise, this guy would have been doomed. But yeah, so... Ladies and gents, when you make only 1.8 million damage with this kind of hanger, Russian power there, then apparently you had something powerful against you. Now, and that was the reason why he couldn't do so much damage, is because the setup that I shown you here. I just decimated every robot he spawned in seconds. Now, what you're seeing here is exactly what you saw in the beginning. I just want to recalculate on the numbers, show you them so that we have them in memory when we look to the new after-nerfed version. So remember that before the 9.7 update, 11.2 seconds for killing that 492,000 Fenrir, equaling almost 44,000 DPS. And the Magnetar did 29,300. And now you're going to be very surprised. By the way, subscribe to this channel if you like this kind of stuff and you haven't subscribed. I would really appreciate it. Now, after the 9.7 nerf, which I just recorded, the gameplay, the combat and the comparison looks like this. Where previously, the Tamer killed the Fenrir exactly at the end of its second clip. Now, and that's lucky for the Tamer, it kills the Fenrir exactly at the end of the third clip. It's very lucky. He doesn't have to start a new reloading cycle and then shoot and then he dies immediately. No, he dies exactly at the end of the clip, same as Magnetar. Very lucky in that regard. And now let's have a look. From 44,000 DPS to 26,000 DPS. That's the new after 9.7 update DPS amount. 26,000 from 44. That is a massive difference. It feels like more than 30%. And it still only had to kill 492,000 damage on the Fenrir, because it still prevents the healing. But it took 18.8 seconds for it, instead of the 11.2 seconds that it was before. So again, insane difference. It seems like more than 30% difference to me. And the Magnetar, still doing its 20 seconds that it did before, 26, sorry, still doing the 763,000 damage due to the fact that he has to kill even the repair that the Fenrir keeps gradually regenerating, with having various modules, pilot skills, regenerating passively HP, and so therefore the Magnetar not preventing healing had to do 763,000 damage, equaling, however, a DPS of 29,300. When I saw this at first, I was like, no, something's wrong here. This thing killed it faster than this thing. How can this thing have less DPS than this thing? It's because this Magnetar did more damage. It had to do more damage to kill the Fenrir, and it did it in such a short time still that the DPS is actually higher from the 6 Sheriff Magnetars compared to the new after 9.7 nerfed version of Taimer. And no, Pixanic, that is not a reason to nerf Magnetars. It just means that this light weapon performs very well. I say that very clearly here. But it also shows, and that is a very big surprise, is that the Tamer actually performs less. Well, I guess it's kind of a point to argue about. Does it perform less? It still got the job done faster, but it got the job done faster by dealing less DPS. And things dying very quickly nowadays, where I just unload half a clip and it dies, the robot, in that case the Magnetar will have done better, because it didn't have to care about any potential healing, right? The Fenrir, being a tank that survives long enough, heals for a long time. Most things die much quicker than this Fenrir here, which is Mark III maxed, right? Fully equipped tank Fenrir with the Bernadette pilot. So most things die way faster, and in that case, the healing does not play any role, and then the DPS bonus that the Magnetar has over the Tamer actually comes out on top, with more performance on the Magnetar. And furthermore, let's just say that right here, we're shooting at a very resistant Fenrir, so the DPS numbers that you're seeing here are not necessarily representative for the actual damage output of the weapons, right? If you were to fire at a Leo, you would have a much higher DPS rating on both weapons, because there's no resistance in use that negates the incoming damage. However, I chose the Fenrir here because it's the, on my own account, robot that can keep up as long as possible to display a more than just one clip on each weapon, right? So keep that in mind. Another thing really important to consider is, let's rewatch that part. You'll find that the Magnetar fills up both the battleship meter and the Titan meter faster than the Tamer does. And this is another soft stat behind the weapon that we should not completely leave out of the equation, because it is a part of the weapon's performance that also represents how strong or weak it is. A weapon filling those up, Titan meter and battleship meter, faster per clip or faster in general is somewhat more attractive in that regard, and the Tamer did not even manage to charge the Titan meter at all after killing the entire Fenrir, where the Magnetar had even the Titan meter completely filled, and also the battleship meter was ready earlier, so you'll be shooting battleships much more often with Magnetars compared to Tamers. So that is something that we should also not forget. Now, I feel like this has been long enough and mathematically enough, but it is important knowledge that we can use on the battlefield to have an edge, maybe. And yeah, let me know what you think about this video. If you like the compilation here and that stuff, then subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, and also stay tuned for the giveaways, because there is one coming with the Shenlu robot, and maybe it's already out. Let's see in which order I will release the videos. But yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Manni signing off. Bye bye.